Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me. Let's test this one moment. We can come online. I'm just going to bring this over here so you and I can chat. All right. I'm just going to go ahead and share this. Hi, everyone. I hope you guys are having an incredible week. So good to see you, JKS80, Divine Love. So wonderful to have you. Welcome. So today I want to jump into a conversation that is really, really important about the reincarnation cycle and just understanding how cyclical patterns are created, how we are participating in our everyday experiences, and how we co-create essentially what we're experiencing collectively. So today I'm going to talk about the reincarnation cycle, and we're going to take a look at what it is and how to work with it. And this is incredibly important right now because our participation in the reincarnation cycle is basically defining whether you are unconscious and more of a, let's say, robotic kind of artificial intelligence. Are you conscious of your co-creation, or are you in a dream state? Are you sleeping? Are you in hypnosis? And are you repeating repetitive patterns of co-creation? Okay, so what is the reincarnation cycle? Let's begin. I have some points that I want to make sure I cover. This is a very in-depth topic. We're going to be discussing the reincarnation cycle. And at the end of this, I'm going to discuss a practice. We're going to do a meditation on how to help the soul in its process through going outside of that reincarnation cycle. Okay. And essentially, the reincarnation cycle is an expression of the morphogenetic field. The morphogenetic field is everything that makes up all things that are physical and in the non-physical realm. It is the blueprint, the code, the source code of infinite potential. And infinite potential is something that is available through the fractalization of source consciousness. Every single human that incarnates, that chooses to incarnate into this physical realm, basically comes into the source cord and attaches to two aspects, its non-physical aspect and its physical. And both of those are a product of the morphogenetic field, which creates the form of the human body. Okay, so the human body essentially carries out all of the programming that is already pre-encoded within the ancestral lineage that it's incarnating into. This is really important information because we oftentimes in our everyday life have certain patterns of experiences where we begin to see suffering and we begin to experience blockages. Blockages. What are blockages? Blockages are moments in our life where we feel overwhelmed, helpless. We don't know how to proceed in experience, and then we become blocked with the inability to move forward. So these blockages are in our psychological everyday interactions, they're belief systems that limit our ability to transcend these patterns. These belief systems are heavily informed and supported by many systems in our physical body. Chemically, energetically, from the nervous system, from the endocrine system of the body, and then the conscious and the subconscious mind. All of these different sections of the body support how we experience everyday life. So a lot of people ask me in our DNA reprogramming sessions, how long does it take to break patterns? And really, it can be as quick as sitting down in a meditation and observing and reintegrating from those experiences, and the fact that you understand the pattern and why you do it is an incredible opening for you to be able to reintegrate and heal. And then you have a choice to either break that pattern or to continue reliving it. Okay. So from the other side of that, we are unconscious of the patterns. Oftentimes we are living life, just having everyday experiences. We don't realize our limitations. We don't realize the patterns that we're living. We don't realize any kind of suffering that we cause others, or suffering that we are causing ourselves. And I guess the most important part of this entire dynamic is the biggest blockage, which is not being able to see how we ourselves affect our own selves, how we damage our own selves. We cause suffering, in other words, to ourselves. So this is all part of the cyclical pattern of suffering. And when we say that suffering is a choice, we are talking about the root mechanics, the fundamental aspects of our subconscious mind that feed into these self-sabotaging programs. Okay, so there's many ways to live and experience the human life. There is no right and there is no wrong, because we are experiencing infinite potential. And I want to be very clear about that, about this part, that your ability to explore this human experience, the beauty of it is that you experience all the ranges of emotions and potential experiences that a human has available to it. And so life is very beautiful. There are many aspects that we can explore in life. Even the most traumatic experiences are something that the human is learning from in that experience, but more so, the collective organism, this intelligence that maintains a balance in the multiverse, is actually learning from that experience. And your experience within your network of your ancestral lineage, let's say it's a very deep, dark, traumatic experiences, is a balance to other members of the lineage that have reached higher points in this cyclical ancestral line. Because everything functions as a fractal form, as a spiral, cyclical manner, we ourselves are the ancestors that are reincarnating in different scenarios. Okay, so let's go to talk about the reincarnation cycle. Let's break it down. I want to break it down step by step. First of all, the morphogenetic field. Let's start with how we come to be. Okay, the morphogenetic field essentially is this the essence, the blueprint of all potential creation. And from this morphogenetic field, the intelligence that the field has is something that is surrounding what we know as the planet Earth, the construct of our reality, which we see the many different planets that make up our solar system, and that solar system that makes up a galaxy, and so on and so forth, the entire multiverse that is structured in the way that we see that structure is, if you can imagine, a field that has a certain intelligence in which the dark matter, the light, the black holes, and the white holes all function together in a contracting and expanding dance of life force. Because we are in a dualistic three-dimensional plane. So in this dualistic expression, everything is experiencing these contrasts. And so that design of experiencing contrast is shown down to the very molecular level that is within the cells of your body and in the multiverses, and how they are expanding, contracting, moving. And all of those follow a certain beautiful form of movement. And that form is a spiral cyclical movement. Okay, and the spiral cyclical movement is because in this kind of morphogenetic field, which is functioning on infinite potential, meaning that whatever that intelligence that it picks up on to know what to create in the spaces that frequency gathers in order to create matter. This can be a world, this can be a physical body of a human, this can be, a multiverse, an aspect of a multiverse, and then it can be a galaxy. So anything that is coming into creation within this morphogenetic field is never coming just out of chance. It isn't something that is not calculated. It isn't something that is random. There is an intelligence to every single thing, everything, thing and no thing that is created, that is existing. And creation, which is the product of that infinite potential, is designed to maintain balance. So this is very important to understand in the reincarnation cycle, because many people, especially at this time, are feeling that they don't belong in this world. They are overwhelmed by the kind of contrast and suffering that we see in the world, and they think, I don't belong in this planet. I didn't mean to reincarnate here. I was forced to come here. And so this kind of thinking immediately creates a fragmentation in your existence. And when I see the energetic body of people that believe this, the amount of fragmentation that occurs in the body makes it very difficult to sustain integration. And it makes it very difficult for the human to heal and to sustain that healing over time, because there is an innate disbelief in themselves and their own existence. And this is something that we need to begin to address at the very fundamental root. So when we think about, whether we belong, if you begin to look at the multi-dimensional world in which we live in, every single molecule exists with a purpose. It exists with something that is maintaining a balance to a whole. Even our experiences that are the deepest, darkest things that one can ever imagine, it is maintaining a balance in the collective whole. My volume's very low. Let's see, how's that? Okay, so what does that mean then? So what does it mean that this morphogenetic field is creating form? So aside, I hope my volume better? Okay, so what happens in this morphogenetic field is that it begins to manifest the need for the existence. Okay, it begins to manifest a need for creation. So once it creates this, whatever it's creating, it is encoded within wherever it exists in the multiverse, is designed specifically for what it's supposed to experience. So in the third dimension, you are designed specifically by certain geometry that allows you to exist, and it allows you to reach the lowest point of this existence and also the highest point of that existence. So that's also really important, because we are able to navigate and shift in our human life experiences. Okay, so what happens when this form comes into being? So it is designed with a purpose, what we think of as a purpose. And the purpose essentially is meant to assist the balance of the collective. But we don't realize that the purpose of our existence is to maintain a balance. Okay, and this is where we experience fragmentation, fractalization. Someone was just talking about that in the chat. Okay, so what happens when we become fractalized? So as this source is coming through the different layers, the dimensional layers in which we exist simultaneously in all dimensional layers, we are experiencing, in a sense, separation, but it's a fractalized separation, meaning that every single fractal of yourself includes the whole. And that is another very important point to understand, because many people feel that they are disconnected, or they are dispersed in different dimensional planes, or that they don't have a home, or that they don't have they're not able to achieve wholeness because they are missing certain information about themselves. And this is something that is untrue, because within every single one of our fractals, we have the ability of accessing all fractals that are existing in all dimensional layers. And we do this. We do this in dream time. Very actively in dream time, we are navigating different dimensional planes, and we are in scenarios in which we are playing out. And we think that those scenarios are not very important, but we are addressing cyclical patterns, agreements in past simultaneous timelines of ourselves. This is what dreams are. And the mind has a way of kind of mixing and creating metaphors for these experiences. But in reality, our dream state is actually the most important of the human experience, because it's where we connect with the whole and where we see ourselves as the all. So our ability to access these states are incredibly important. So let's talk about patterns. We talked about the form that comes into this manifestation. When form is created, it's created to create balance. And how it creates that balance is, first of all, when it comes into the three-dimensional plane, especially in this current timeline, we are in what we call the reincarnation cycle. And in this three-dimensional plane in which we are here to experience contrast, what we're going to be experiencing is the contrast between the light and the dark, contracting and expansive. And we're also going to be experiencing exchanges, parasitic and creative. So these two creative life forces, everything is creation. Even what we think is destruction is creation. It's just a different kind of creation. Everything that we think is manifestation and creation in the positive, to create something, is also creation. It's just a different kind of creation. So that's also another important way to understand this, because it's very easy for people to allocate events of our lives as good and bad, but this is actually untrue. There really is no good and bad in our experiences, and this is not just a concept. It is literally encoded. It is a product of the architecture of your entire existence, of your creation. It is created with such purpose in this morphogenetic field, with such intention, that everything that you are, everything that you think, everything that you experience, all the programs that you've taken on, play a very important role in the collective whole. So every single human at this time is encoded at the cellular molecular level to do what you're doing in your life. And this is really beautiful experience as a human, because when you understand the patterns that you have an opportunity to break, you, as a fractal of infinite consciousness, can begin to transcend this matrix, and it begins to transcend the reincarnation cycle. And we have a lot to cover before we even talk about that. But essentially, the reincarnation cycle, let's talk about what that is. So in this earth, in this dimensional plane in which we're in, we are really experiencing the contrast between parasitic creation and creative creation. So what does this mean? Parasitic means that anything that rejects its own existence requires from the external in order to feed it life, to give it life force. So we see this in our world, in our everyday world, with organizations, people, groups that want to control and take over and manipulate. All of these kinds of disempowering and parasitic behaviors in our world are a reflection of the internal parasitism that we have within us collectively. So this is really, really important, because the entire organism in which we live, our Earth, the planet Earth in itself, is also a being. It is a consciousness. And that Earth, it came into form from the morphogenetic field in order to sustain a certain vibrational frequency, ranges of frequencies from lowest to highest that we can experience on this Earth that we're on. And within this Earth that we're on at this time, we are moving in and out of different dimensional timelines, infinite dimensional timelines. Now, if you go to another planet, let's say you go to Mars, this planet came together with a very specific vibrational frequency. And in our immediate solar system, we move around through vibrational ranges of frequency as a part of a spiral pattern as well. The sun, the center sun of this solar system, is the core of life force, and it's the generator of life force for all organisms. The morphogenetic field that connects all of the planets is basically centrally managed by the sun. And the sun functions like kind of like a processor router system that intakes the vibrational frequency data of the rest of the morphogenetic field that makes up this galaxy. Okay, so it's important because any kind of shifts and moves, celestial moves, alignments, these kinds of things affect the collective. Just the way when someone in your family does something, it affects the whole family. The entire family is affected by that, or in your partnerships, or in your workspaces. We are deeply interconnected. So everything that makes a shift, either for a higher frequency or a lower frequency, is affecting the neighborhood. And it's important to understand this because the human, of course, functions like a cell on this earth, on this being that is the earth. And when we are unconscious, we are very much affected by these celestial movements. As a matter of fact, they begin to influence our lives, and they play a very powerful role in the parts of our reincarnation programs that are being highlighted. And usually, when there are very strong alignments, which means that runways of energy are being open, when there's certain planetary alignments, runways of life force become more reinforced, more powerful, more accessible. The energy is moving in certain ways. And these movements are affecting all the planets in the galaxy in this solar system. Okay, so let's go back to the solar system. So as this sun is absorbing the waves of the movement of the galaxy, our immediate solar system functions like an antenna that begins to spread that information to every single one of the planets, and all the planets will receive the information and adjust accordingly. Okay, so there are times when we go through heightened levels of connection to source, and there are times in these cyclical movements that we go through less connection with source. Right now, we are leaving a very, very heavy moment of disconnect from source over the past 2-3 years. But at the same time, it has allowed for other frequencies, because we are all moving and ascending through this cycle in an upward motion to higher frequencies. Every single human on this earth kind of had to rebalance itself to come into a certain timeline that is kind of more in aligned with one another. And we are at the very beginning of this next 10 years of major timeline shifting. So every human that exists at this time that chose to be born at this time and to exist during this transition point plays, obviously, not only plays, but is literally designed and encoded to move forward this experience. And there are many times in history where we have reached these very important moments in this evolutionary process. And really, in the past 20, 50 years in our current timeline, we are reaching a pinnacle point for the evolutionary movement of this timeline. Okay, there are many timelines and we exist simultaneously in them, and we can affect them by what we do collectively in this one timeline. And what affects timelines is our DNA, because the DNA of your physical body is the blueprint of the vessel, the physical body in which you exist, but it is a mirror to the main data frame, which is the earth. The earth has its own DNA, its own blueprint, which we know as the Akashic records, which basically means the cloud or the field. And the field is the morphogenetic field. Okay, so our akash is the morphogenetic field, which is the database of everything that has ever existed and everything that is right now. So when we heighten our intuitive abilities, we have the ability of accessing this data bank of information. And essentially, those of you that have already have access to the Akashic records or this morphogenetic field begin to see beyond this one timeline. You begin to see all of your lives very clearly. You begin to see the patterns in your lives. You begin to see reincarnation or simultaneous. Again, they're not past lives, but they're simultaneous lives. So the concept of reincarnation, really, we have to think it's like a linear timeline. But again, when we talk about reincarnation, I want you to think of this more as if we exist simultaneously and we are fractalizing continuously. We keep fractalizing. Every time we fractalize, it's like a reincarnation in another timeline. And we are existing simultaneous to all of these timelines. The idea and what we are understanding now, and what I have understood through my work from deprogramming, is that when the human reintegrates from those fragmentations, you begin to become one with all. So essentially, over time, like millennia and millennia, in the future, beyond time, in just a way to explain, if you continue this evolutionary process as becoming one, you become a earth, like a being. And earth used to be a human many millennia ago. Okay, so again, you become one with the whole, and essentially you have the ability of traveling interdimensionally, not just in this planet, but other planets. And a lot of contactees, we call them contactees, but in fact, they are just becoming aware of themselves on many dimensional planes. And this is what we need to do, because the more we see ourselves in as many dimensional planes as possible, the larger we become as a conscious life force. And the more we can anchor source, because the moment you become conscious of one of your fractalizations, it becomes a part of you, a light that has turned on, and it's an extension of yourself. So this is incredibly important, because the many extensions of yourself that you become aware of yourself expand your expression in this existence. And your expression is nothing that is individual. You begin to see yourself as the whole. Me, you, our ancestors, our future selves, we see ourselves as one. And that's what it means to come back to one. You are looking at all the different little ranges of color from that spectrum that have fractalized through the prism of each dimensional plane. You begin to reintegrate those fractalized ranges into the whole that you are. And as you begin to see yourself as white light, which for us in this dimensional plane is the source, which from where all the spectrum of colors come from, we can now see ourselves in higher dimensional levels. And we're going to continue that work in all dimensional layers, essentially. Okay, so let's talk about what do we do when we are in this reincarnation cycle. Now we have repeated many things. We are seeing our fractalized selves. So how do we do this reincarnation process? So um, for most human fractals, vessels, so me and you, when we come into this physical body, the source that is fractalized in these dimensional planes attaches to the physical body. And this physical body essentially is connected to an ancestral lineage. Okay. And that ancestral lineage is all of the history that is recorded within the Akashic field that matches your vibrational resonance. And it's like a vein of consciousness that exists on this earth, on this being that is the earth. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at if we are this fractal that has incarnated in this ancestral lineage. When you zoom into that ancestral lineage to your DNA, you begin to notice that there's certain patterns within your lines, father and mother. Both father and mother lineages are designed to unite and to create the families that they have created. Every union, in fact, that we have as a human being is designed because we unite. We are like magnets that come together through resonance. So, people that you have dated, people that you have connected with in your life, people that you have had intercourse with, all are a participation of the intelligence of this organism to unite through resonance. Okay. And each one of those unions plays a role in the activation or the suppression of certain aspects of your DNA. In unions, in partnerships, right now, a lot of people are going through major relationship shifts because they're finding that certain relationships are no longer in alignment. And this is really huge because uh, the reason why this is happening is that people are waking up. They wake up, and as they wake up, they become aware of certain patterns, why they reach certain resonance in order to be united in these partnerships, and realize that they have grown from that point. And if the other person isn't growing at that same rate, then obviously there's going to be a disconnect in that resonance. So it will fall out. The relationship will fall out. Mama Ren, thank you so much for that super chat, Mama Ren. Shout out to Mama Ren. Thank you. And so what happens with this is that essentially we need to understand that because everything functions like cycles, the human is here to experience the rise and fall of these experiences, the unification through resonance and the decoupling through the shifting of resonances as well. Everything is going through these cycles. So um, and this goes into a whole nother topic because even the concept of marriage is something, the institution of marriage is something that is created by our society. It's something that is designed for a very specific purpose. The idea that we have to be married to one person our entire lives goes into a whole other topic in which we can talk about ethics. But there are major structural reasons for that on Earth. Okay, and they are usually quite unrealistic with the more organic model of what it means to exist as a human that is here for evolution. Because a lot of times that evolution, if the two humans are not willing to evolve together, it will definitely slow down the evolution of one or the other, or they will go through many cycles of repeated karmic traumas and sufferings that they have both repeated for many, many generations. And that's the interesting thing that people wonder, why they are continuing lots of suffering in their life. They keep meeting the same person, like their mother, for example, at work or in their partnerships, or like their father in their relationships, even with friends. It's because your resonance is a match and the creator of your experience. Okay, let's talk about what is the resonance. Okay, resonance is your subconscious programming. Your resonance is created by your subconscious programming. So your subconscious mind is actually what is inputting into the system of co-creation. And if in your subconscious mind you have a lot of programs and limiting beliefs, feelings of doubt, shame, guilt, unworthiness, then this is what you're going to be attracting and co-creating. And this is what wasn't talked about in the law of attraction. Okay, so when we talked about the law of attraction many years ago, this came into mainstream. There was so much that was missing from that conversation, from the mechanics of actual co-creation. And this is really important because we are not able to shift timelines, change our lives, heal, or do any of that if we don't understand and change subconscious programming. And the subconscious programming, remember, the subconscious programming is everything that is encoded within our DNA, all of the ancestral trauma that we have inherited that hasn't been addressed, all of the trauma that we have relived through our parents, through our childhood, through our adulthood, and continued reinforcing because of a lack of understanding of how to shift those programs. This is the reincarnation cycle. And the entire matrix essentially is designed to reinforce these cyclical patterns because everything in this matrix, what is the matrix? The matrix is the hologram in which we participate co-creating. Without the ability to manifest and project into this hologram, there would be no matrix. Essentially, we are making all of this up, but it's not that simple. This is an entire structure. It is the morphogenetic field that has intelligently come together to create the matrix, this hologram, in order to experience the contrast that we're experiencing as a collective. And we are an organism of that experience. And this earth functions as the organism of this structure of the hologram. But who inputs into that hologram? It's each and every single one of us. So how can we change an entire generation of programming? Is by beginning to deprogram what we have inherited that is parasitic, that causes suffering, limiting beliefs, and essentially we're talking about the suppression of the activation of DNA. Why? Because in this morphogenetic field, it is designed to function in a form of natural ascension. Through that natural cyclical movement, every organism that exists in this matrix is designed to continue evolving so that it vibrationally matches every next movement through this spiral ascension that all organisms in this multiverse are moving as a natural cyclical movement. When one organism doesn't align to this natural movement of ascension, then it begins to become sick and dissolves. Okay, so this is what stagnation causes. The stagnation of emotions, stagnation of belief systems causes energy, life force of source to no longer be able to irrigate the entire body. And when source, life force doesn't enter into the body becomes ill because we are life force. That's what we are. We are infinite life force. So when this infinite life source doesn't enter because there's some blockage in the body, because emotions, fears, anxieties, doubts, whatever thought form we have manifests over time into the physical, that creates a block. And therefore life force cannot move. And so now we talk about the physical structure of the body. And those that studied that very in depth is, for example, Chinese medicine, which has looked at, or Oriental medicine that has looked at the runways of energy of the body, which those of you that are psychic and that have the ability of seeing the medical form of energy in the body can very clearly see how energy moves and when it becomes stuck. why illness accumulates. When you see an organ that has been constantly in a state of fear and resistance, it completely becomes even deformed. It becomes ill. It becomes sick. It doesn't process things, foods, chemicals, whatever processes each organ is designed to do, it cannot do it. And every single organ in the body is designed for something, okay? And the physical body, let's start talking about the physical body. So the physical body is made up of ranges of frequency. So source goes through the prism, okay? And that prism then creates a fractalization, which is a spectrum of colors. And that spectrum of colors creates the rainbow. And that rainbow is a representation of ranges of frequency from lowest, slowest wavelength to highest movement wavelength. And that highest movement of wavelength allows life force to move faster. So the entire human body is made up of these ranges of frequency that, because of its density of frequency, it allows the energy to move in a spiral motion. Again, everything is designed in a spiral motion. So even your body is a spiral moving vortex. And we move energy like the DNA. The DNA is spiral, and the movement of all living things becomes this spiral movement that creates a toroidal field around the body. Okay, that's your energetic space. When we talk about GPAC, grounding, protecting, aligning, co-creating, we're talking about activating this energetic space in the body. And this spiral movement in the body, the faster that it's spinning, the healthier the body is moving life force, and the healthier it is moving in higher dimensions as well as in the physical. So the optimum health of a body is the one that spins the fastest. And we create a faster spin in the body by deprogramming limiting beliefs so that we can allow life force to move through the body, and so that our vibrational frequency becomes higher. It's more fluid. And the highest spinning vortex occurs when we come into a neutral point. The neutral point, which is that moment of singularity that occurs because the lower moving vortex is moving faster, begins to enter into that singularity moment that begins to access the next cycle of movement. All the energy moves through in a braiding DNA coil type function. And I've shown this in many presentations. I'm sure you can see them, but it allows you to move life force through the body. Okay. And that moment of singularity, that neutral point, is this bliss state. This is the state in which we talked about the orgasmic moment of co-creation. This is co-creation. Okay, so when we talk about when we enter into that orgasmic state, the body dissolves and we feel one with all. But more importantly, on the physical level, if we understand how to utilize this energy, this creative energy, we can create intentionally in ways that affect many dimensions, not just this dimension. And this is where things get really interesting. Humans that have practiced utilizing higher levels of life force cultivation. Now, this has to do with the organ of creation, which is, of course, the sexual body. Sexual life force, which many people know as the Kundalini energy. But Kundalini means life force, okay? And we have to activate all the centers. Many people think Kundalini and that's it. Kundalini is just sexual energy and that's it. No, we have to activate all energy centers. And we have to learn how to transmute life force from all energy centers. Okay, so this is important because when we don't activate all energy centers, once again, we are blocked and we are blocked multidimensionally. So, as a vibrational resonance, we are a match to continuing to reincarnate in this cyclical karmic program of the reincarnation cycle. So, these are all very interconnected aspects that either help you stay in a state of sleep, in a state of unconscious hypnosis, or they allow you to come into a greater level of self mastery in order to intentionally co create, which is actually our highest potential and our highest design. So, this is where life begins to look incredibly powerful, and the human begins to understand their power. And it's not really necessary to compare yourself with other beings that we have this idea that these interdimensional beings from higher dimensions are more advanced than us or whatever, but we need to understand that they are our future selves, and those selves that you are seeing, the forms that you are seeing, are a manifestation of geometry in a different dimensional plane. The human has the ability of activating what we know as this Merkaba, which is the inverted triangles together, which is just the beginning of the infinite potential that the human has of becoming. But when we begin to activate this point of singularity, this bliss state as a result of neutrality, we actually begin to spin in such a way that we are uh, leveling our vibrational frequency to be a match to higher dimensional levels. And we want to do this. We want to do this in all dimensional layers, and we can do it in dream state. Because when you go to sleep and you begin to detach from your physical body and begin to travel into other dimensional layers, you are first, for most people that are still unconscious, are navigating the subconscious mind. Once you begin to clean up that subconscious mind, you then have the ability of transcending into the collective unconscious. And this is where we begin to access 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th dimension layers, which are all encoded within the morphogenetic field. And in that morphogenetic field is an infinite potential of creation and fractalized aspects of ourselves. So our ET selves, our angelic selves, all of the parts of us that we have seen, our past lives, all of those are existing within this morphogenetic field in which we have access to navigation. So how do we break karmic cyclical patterns? In order to begin to do this work and to begin to change your everyday experience, we would have to break the cyclical limiting belief systems that hinder your ability to spin at the highest state possible, at the highest vibrational frequency. And how we can begin to break those patterns is by beginning to take a look at the emotional state that you are in, let's say today, yesterday, over the past week. If you simply start by taking a look at those emotions, you begin to identify patterns in yourself. And those patterns are not there by chance. These are things that we have built ourselves into becoming as a result of cyclical patterns. These are learned experiences, learned programs, adopted and inherited belief systems. So when you really dive deep into these belief systems, you will begin to understand how most of them are a part of social engineered constructs of belief systems. And we need to understand, you need to take a look at how they are rooted. Many of you that are going to take a look at this, what you're going to discover is that a lot of the belief systems that have been adopted in your family, in your ancestral lineage, are very deeply rooted in your ancestral countries, the countries that you come from, your ancestors have come from. And this is also very important because a human, in order to be able to reincarnate, to reintegrate their fragments, we need to be able to do some work with the Earth grid. So this is step 3 of this process. Okay. So once you uncover these repetitive programs, you begin to understand the roots of these programs in this timeline. And in this timeline, you're going to begin to notice that these programs were inserted in your ancestral lineage at some point in your historic timeline. And essentially, all of these programs that are inherited um, are usually reinforced culturally. Okay. And the culture is a product of social engineering. It is a product of many things. The socio-economical um, evolution potential that this group of people have. And the earth itself, I mentioned it was a being, it has an organization of frequency as well. And we know that as ley lines. Ley lines on the earth are runways of energy, just the way energy runs through our physical bodies. The runways on the earth accumulate points of energy around the earth, and they have different ranges of frequency. So you can say that the earth has a chakra system, energy vortex systems, just the way the physical body has. And that means that the countries that are in these energy points around the earth are energy centers of specific frequencies. Certain patterns are enforced in some of these points of frequency. We have been seeing over the past 2 years many key elements coming into mainstream. A lot of things that have been hidden for a long time are now coming up to the surface to be seen. And more than ever, because of technology, we are becoming aware of these kinds of social, very deep rooted social problems that we have. And in the next 10 years, many more of these problems that haven't been addressed are going to be surfacing. And what you're going to notice is that there is a very interesting wave of how these key elements become ignited. Right now, there are many problems around the earth, but if you map the areas that are highlighted right now because of the problems that they're having in their social groups, this is part of these ancestral root programs that are coming to surface. And these vibrational ley lines are becoming ignited in these points. And so when we do healing, we need to see and find our roots in these points. How we can begin to help the collective earth is by deprogramming those belief systems that feed into the programs that are causing suffering right now. And every time one of these problems, these social issues come into the limelight, it is an invitation for us to address how we participate in these programs subconsciously. What we're going to discover is that many things that we do in our life actually interconnectedly affect these social issues. And I think it's a wonderful invitation to begin to kind of do a really deep house cleaning. We are doing a house cleaning for ourselves internally and collectively. And I think that as we do that, every human that becomes aware of their participation with these kinds of social issues, we shift collectively. There is a profound healing that is occurring, and we alternate. The feminine has to be healed, and the masculine has to be healed until we find a balance. Both of them are going through major healings. And so we need to heal those internally within ourselves. So this is part of the deprogramming. But when we do a DNA reprogramming, for example, and we begin to access some of these root emotional belief systems, we discover that those roots are in our ancestral lineage. And as we begin to uproot those lineages of beliefs, we can reintegrate and we can heal our ancestral lineage. What will happen is that family members will also raise their vibrational frequency in a way where they will become more aware of how these belief systems affect them. And it'll happen subconsciously because we are an integrated network. So when you heal yourself, you really are activating through your DNA, through the morphogenetic field, the collective whole. So this is an incredibly powerful tool that when you understand how to use that, you can really shift how you are affecting the collective. So the DNA reprogramming is not just an individual job. It's something that immediately affects the morphogenetic field of the whole. Okay. So let me see. Did I miss anything? I mean, this is a very long topic, but I'm going to make this part one, and in part two, I'll make another video about the rest of this. Okay, so let's continue talking a little bit about, let's go into a practice, how we can actually apply this in our everyday life, and how we can actually use this information to begin to shift. Okay, so when we are dealing with reincarnation, um, how can we break these contracts? So essentially, when we are in hypnosis, when we are in dream state, what happens is that we are repeating things. And because we are unconscious, we don't even know how we are repeating things. Okay. So the idea is to break those patterns. And there are two ways to do it. One way is energetically. Because we are energetic beings, we have the ability of moving energy, blocked energy from the body. So a lot of times you will see stagnation in the physical body. We can actually remove that energy out of the body, and we call it pictures or images. It can look like any random object. Um, and these objects, these energy accumulations and blockages in your energetic body are actually feeding those subconscious belief systems. They are being fed by the subconscious belief systems, and they are causing reference points to which you access every single day. You keep going back to these access points. Okay. So the idea is to dissolve these energy points in your physical body. And you can do so um, pretty easily. How it works is that your intention is what will allow you to move life force to the body. In order for intention to actually work, we need to believe in ourselves. There has to be a profound reconnection from the higher self, the non physical, and the physical. When these two connect, this is where you can begin to master and move your life force. Without that connection, we won't be able to do very much in the physical body because you still won't believe in yourself that if you move this energy, it will have an effect on your body. Okay. Number two, um, in order to affect the intention, we need to trust our intuition. So we need to build intuition. And as we build our intuition, you can build your intuition in your everyday life. You can practice building your intuition by making choices intuitively and following them, and also creating congruency between what your core belief systems are and your everyday actions. This is really, really important. Most of the reason why we don't trust ourselves is because there is no congruency between our actions and our belief systems. And these are not the cyclical pattern and limiting belief systems. These are the core ethics, the morals, the ethics that are at the root of your existence. And for the majority of people, you will realize that the ethical code that we are slowly beginning to move towards is the natural balance, nature. You begin to move in the cycles of nature. And the matching these natural cycles of nature are going to bring you closer to truth. Because in nature, there is no right and wrong. This is that central point of neutrality. that bliss state. And in that bliss state, there is no duality. So, this is how we transcend the matrix. You transcend the reincarnation cycle by not identifying or becoming entangled with past traumas, cyclical patterns, with fragmentation and fractalization of yourself. And the more that you become one with yourself, the easier and the higher you'll be able to move at a higher vibrational frequency. So, to break these patterns, moving energy is one way to do that. Another way to do that is to work with the subconscious mind. You address, like in DNA reprogramming and in hypnotherapy, you address the root programs and you begin to heal and reintegrate those fragmentations. And this allows you to become aware of yourself in all dimensional layers. So it's a really, really powerful way to begin to shift your life force. And in today's meditation, I'm going to show you how to dissolve cyclical karmic contracts. Now, contracts are agreements that we make in order to co-create. And unfortunately, because we are unconscious, most of the agreements that we make are meant for repeating patterns because we are in dream state, because we are in hypnosis. So to break those patterns would be to create. And those of you that are choosing the path of creation are going to oftentimes feel that it's very isolating because you are literally, because you are working on breaking patterns, you become the pioneer in the direction of learning to embody love, the pioneer in learning to embody compassion, the pioneer in integration and becoming one, as opposed to seeing yourself as separate. And that is something that it takes courage because, again, you are returning to nature, something which in this artificial matrix, in this hologram, we take things at face value. We only want to see the external. We want to savor beauty. We want to savor external images, stimulations in the body, emotions. And this is all very temporary and it's untrue. What is actually true is your participation in the co-creation of the experiences that you're seeing. So whatever you see, whatever you judge is a reflection of everything that is happening internally inside of you. So this is very, very important to understand because we get very entangled in the physical experience and then we lose ourselves completely. And every time we judge something, our life force becomes very depleted because it becomes entangled in what we are judging. When we are seeing something, we are applying a meaning, we are judging it, we become entangled. And therefore, life force becomes depleted. So many of my clients come to me and they have many cords that they are very connected, people, places, and things. And their mind is in the past or in the future, and there's no life force coming into the body. The body is like a zombie. And that's actually, all of these films on zombies are a representation of our humanity right now. Because most of us, unfortunately, are like little robots repeating just what we know. And we forget to go beyond these limitations that cause us and keep us in suffering. When we do things that are expansive and creative, it heals the body. So this is a representation of self-love, of self-compassion. And it's very important right now to understand and differentiate between that with our actions so that we are changing, so that we are no longer contributing to things that are parasitic, things that are causing us actually suffering. Okay, that's very important. So let's go into the meditation. Go ahead and take a nice deep breath. Breathing. And with every breath you take, go ahead and visualize yourself connecting down to the center of the earth. And as you bring yourself more into your body, breathing deeply, taking your attention from the external into the internal, go ahead and connect with every cell in the body. Breathing deeply. And we're just asking the cells in the body to wake up, to come into consciousness, come into a state of awareness at this time. Going down from the crown of the head, down to the neck, to the shoulders, down to the chest, down into the solar plexus, into the hips, into the thighs, the shins, the calves, the knees. Breathing deeply. Taking a nice deep breath. And as you connect with your physical body, begin to take your attention out to your energetic field. And you're going to go ahead and create a field around you made out of something completely impenetrable. Breathe deeply. Very good. We're going to start by focusing on the root chakra at the base of the spine. Go ahead and visualize shrinking that root chakra down to the size of a dime, disconnecting any imbalance in the root chakra. Breathe. Allowing yourself to completely take your attention into your energetic field and noticing how the field shifts as you close this root chakra. Okay, let's go up into the sacral. Go ahead and close that chakra down to the size of a dime. Breathing. Disconnecting any imbalances in the sacral chakra. And be sure to notice that you're closing the front and the back. Okay, let's go up to the solar plexus, the center core. Go ahead and visualize closing that chakra down to the size of a dime. Notice how the body comes into a state of calm. Okay, and this is because you are, it's almost as if like a router, you are resetting the input and output from the first three chakras. And the first three chakras are what manage this matrix, the physical experience. So when you begin to rein your energy back in, you're going to start to feel more energetic. So if if you haven't slept and you're, working and doing all of these out of balance experiences, this is a great way to reconnect and re-energize your body instantly. Okay, go up to your heart chakra. Go ahead and expand that heart chakra as wide as possible. When we open and activate the higher chakras, we allow higher bands of life force to move through the body. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and open the heart front and back, breathing deeply. Go up into the throat chakra. Just going to expand that throat chakra as wide as possible, front and back, opening the center of communication and expression. Very good. Go ahead and go up into the third eye. Go ahead and expand the third eye chakra, opening the center of intuition. Okay. Now we're going to go up into our crown chakra. So the crown is actually the key to beginning to move outside of the reincarnation cycle from a monotonous, repetitive pattern into actual co-creation. So as you activate your crown, which is the center point of where the vortex begins to meet the next range of frequency in your body, okay? We are made up of all of these ranges of frequency, like the Fibonacci numeric sequence. This is how energy is dispersed by frequency around the body. Okay, so we are moving through these ranges of frequency in a spiral motion, and the crown is the point in which the non-physical meets the physical. So when this is dormant, we are not co-creating anything. We can't manifest anything. We are simply repeating cycles that are encoded within our DNA and that are repeated, inherited, learned experiences. Okay, so we begin to activate the crown. Go ahead and activate expanding the crown chakra, and go ahead and enter the color of your highest vibrational frequency in this state. Go ahead and see what color is that, and illuminate your crown. And this is incredibly important. We're going to enter this color in alignment intentionally with every aspect of your life. We're going to start with career. Go ahead and turn that on. Setting the intention that everything in your career is in alignment with your highest expression. Going up into relationships. Family. Co-creation. Consciousness. Understanding. Peace. Harmony. Love. Health. And finally, your purpose. What are you here to do? So go ahead and see your crown activating, expanding, and we are going to use the crown, the life force that is in the crown, to channel and dissolve these karmic contracts. So now that we're here, we're going to help move the life force through the body, because some of us, we haven't meditated. We don't have an everyday meditation practice. And when we don't have an everyday meditation practice, we are dormant, we're sleeping, we're in hypnosis. Okay. So in order to break the pattern, we meditate, in order to come into consciousness in all dimensional layers. So go ahead and visualize that from the earth, you're going to see a powerful range of green life force rushing up into the body, creating a vortex of energy. And this vortex is beginning to move your vortex of energy. So I want you to see your vortex spinning. You are a vortex. Your body is a vortex. So go ahead and see the spinning of your vortex and allow that green life force to begin to move energy through your body. And the more intuitive you are, it'll be easier for you to see what you're doing here. Okay, but I want you to turn on your intuition right now and begin to sense and read and see your multidimensional body. We have 13 dimensional layers around the body in which we are navigating throughout our day constantly. Okay, most of us are usually basically only up to 8 maximum. Okay, and so what we're going to change that, going outside of the cyclical reincarnation matrix, by beginning to clear and activate the blockages in the higher levels. So go ahead and clear the first layer of your body as you're moving this green life force, picking up all the debris that you feel in the first layer of your body. Okay, go up to the second layer, the third layer, the fourth layer, the fifth layer, the sixth layer, the seventh layer, the eighth layer, ninth, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. Okay, go ahead and bring down a powerful wave of gold cosmic energy coming down from source through the crown of your head, combining into this green life force energy. So you're going to begin to feel a wave of energy now shifting from lower density into a higher density. Go ahead and move that life force through your body. Green and gold begins to rotate around your body, picking up debris. And we're going to create a channel of elimination down to the center of the earth. So go ahead and allow that green and gold life force to go down into the center of the earth. You are channeling cosmic energy through the body, and it heals the body as well as it heals Mother Earth. So go ahead and let go of everything that you have picked up from the 13 layers out to the center of the earth. And just allow the earth to cycle it. It functions like a recycling mechanism. So just allow it to just clear it out. You're going to feel the body becoming lighter, lighter and lighter as you let that go. Okay. Go back up to your center core and take 80% of this green and gold energy, send it up the spine, and from the crown of the head, create a fountain coating the outside of your protective field. And what you're doing is you are disconnecting the entanglement, the energetic entanglement of your body to people, places, and things that you have become intermeshed with in the matrix. This is an important step. So go ahead and visualize that you're calling back your life force from people, places, and things back into your body. And this is a very powerful exercise you can use when you're tired or when you're feeling sick, depleted, don't have energy. Call back your life force. It returns back to you as gold purified life force. And you're going to release everything that you took on that doesn't belong to you, taking back everything that's yours. Okay. It's also very important because through this process of learning how to use your life force and mastering your body, you're going to learn how to differentiate where you begin and how you co-create the other. Okay, so calling back that life force into the body and releasing what doesn't belong to you. Very good. Go ahead and go back to the solar plexus. Take that final 10% of green and gold, and you're going to bring it into the body now, bringing it into the pores, the flesh, the muscles, the bones, down to the cellular level of the body. Go ahead and visualize healing your body, taking it to the parts of the body that require more attention, more compassion. Go ahead and bring that life force into the body. Breathing deeply. And this is a great moment for you to connect with your body and listen to what it needs in this moment. Very good. Excellent. So now that you're running energy through the body, it's going to be easy for you to dissolve and to destroy any of these karmic contracts that are stagnating your energetic body. Okay? Because when you move energy through the body, you're allowing, it's kind of like running a faucet. And when you're cleaning, let's say you're cleaning a straw, when you run that water through the straw, it pulls with it out everything, it cleans it. So just imagine that your body is being cleansed with this running energy. You are using cosmic energy and earth energy to begin to neutralize your organism. Your vessel is made of this cosmic and earth energy. Again, this is the morphogenetic field that has a self-regenerating mechanism. So you're learning how to tap into that in order to clean the body, okay? So go ahead and allow yourself to clear out any kind of debris that you're seeing in your physical body. I want you to tune in to your intuition and begin to read your body. Where do you feel stagnation in your body? Where do you feel blocks? Where do you feel areas that are warmer? Sometimes some of you are going to feel it like warm temperature in the body or outside of the body. Go ahead and scan your energetic field to begin to notice where those blockages are. And you're going to flush them out of your energetic body. Just imagine that you are just letting them leave the body. And for this kind of work, it's important that you trust yourself. And we're going to learn together how to build this trust by when you feel something. Sometimes it's going to dissolve in one piece, it'll come out. But the longer you've been holding on to this program, because every object that you find in your body is a subconscious program. Okay, it's a limiting belief. So the longer this makes up your personality, the longer you've been holding on to this as a part of your identity, the harder it will be for you to dissolve it. But it doesn't have to be. If you decide that you are done holding on to this because it's causing you a lot of suffering and pain, we can quickly dissolve it from the body. Okay, so this is a wonderful opportunity for you to begin to build trust with yourself. And so that being said, when you see the object and you need to begin dissolving it, you're going to notice that some of these objects are going to keep popping up in your meditations. Sometimes objects can take 5 days to dissolve. Sometimes they can take 11 weeks. Sometimes they can take a year to dissolve. But this will be dissolved. And when we dissolve these, we are helping the soul through the human experience. This is very powerful because the less garbage and baggage is limiting the soul from holding on to source, infinite potential, creation potential, the more joyful its life experience will be, the more vitality, the more healing, the more expansive its experience will be. And you have the ability of shifting your everyday experience. Okay, so go ahead and take a look at that blockage that you have and begin to dissolve it out of your space. And you can utilize your crown chakra and you can light up this object with your crown chakra and watch it dissolve. So just go ahead and allow yourself to see it begin to dissolve. Breathing deeply. Go ahead and work around your body. Some of you might have a lot of blockages in your body. Some of you might have just one or two. So take your time. Also, I will note that if you are the people that have one or two, it doesn't mean that you're more advanced or less advanced. It means that this is all you have access to at this time. Okay. So if you have many blocks, sometimes this means that you are very open to clearing more things out of your space. So allow yourself to see, because remember, we have 13 layers and many programs that we cycle throughout our life. So take your time, lovingly, compassionately, non-judgmentally, to tune in to these objects in your space. Okay, so let's remove them one by one, allowing yourself to dissolve this space. Very good. I'm just going to give you a few more minutes to clear out your energetic body. Trust what you see. Trust what you see not leaving. Sometimes when these objects are hard to dissolve, you're going to doubt yourself because part of you will still feel like there's something there. I want you to listen to that. If you still feel that there's something there, even if it's a little dot or a little piece or a corner that's left of this object, pay attention, because these objects, if you were to have this vision uh, that you can cultivate over time of seeing your multidimensional body, these blocks actually, they look like viruses almost. Okay, in that they have many little cords and nervous systems that are connected to your nervous system, to organs, to chakras, and to many layers. These objects are embedded in more than one layer. So pay attention. Sometimes I have clients, and even in my own practice, have found objects in my seventh dimensional layer, and I would spend a couple years dissolving it, only to find a couple years later that that same program is in my 11th dimensional layer. Okay, so please understand that these are cyclical, and there's always layers to this information. It's not never going to be the same object, but it's going to be another iteration of this belief system, because we are uncovering programs that we are cycling through for many lifetimes. And in order to leave the reincarnation cycle, we have to make peace with the parts of us that are fractalized by these traumatic experiences. We have to integrate ourselves completely through understanding who you are beyond this limiting belief. Okay, and this is where freedom comes actually into play. This is where you begin to become the master of your journey, your expression in this organism. So go ahead and allow those to begin to dissolve out. And as you begin to finish up, continue to see your crown, and you're going to repair your energetic field. Go ahead and repair the energetic field, making sure that all of the objects that you cleared out of those parts of your body, you can repair them. Okay, any openings that were created, just scan the body, scan your field, making sure that there are no holes in your space. Okay, excellent work. Okay, so now I want you to see, now we're going to go into the eighth dimensional layer, into the akash. And as you take yourself into the akash, I want you to visualize a room. Okay, we are in the akash right now, and I want you to visualize a room. And this room is filled with contracts. Okay. These contracts represent all of the subconscious belief systems that we are cycling through that anchor us into the suffering of this matrix life. These are all the belief systems that we're experiencing internally and also collectively. So go ahead and allow yourself to clear that room out completely. And what you'll notice is that sometimes this room will change and shift. Take the time to observe this room, and I want you to see it in as much detail as possible. Okay? Go ahead and see, how does this house look? Does it have many rooms? Is it one big giant room? Does it have, a basement? Does it have a back room? And the reason why I'm mentioning this is because a lot of my clients, and a lot of, even in my personal journey, I discovered that over time, when I was cleaning this room, I would dissolve the karmic contracts daily, and they would become more invisible every day. Every day that I did the work, they would become more and more invisible. And at the same time, I was healing my body and I was changing my life in many different ways. This also led to my interdimensional contact work through this practice. Okay. So as I began to clear out the contracts in this room, I began to see that every aha moment I would have, or every major transformation or belief moment, it would uncover other layers of agreements. And when I finished clearing all of the contracts of this lifetime, I began to open back doors, even subterraneous rooms underneath this house. And this is a representation of the subconscious or the collective unconscious that we are still playing out. All of those agreements are going to be in this room for you to address. And how you will work with them is that when you finish this lifetime, you will begin to access agreements from past lives. Now, I was able to go through all of my past lives, and what you'll notice, and this is important, is that it's just patterns over and over and over again. The same patterns that you're living in this lifetime, you have repeated many times, and you're going to see yourself as your father in another life, or your mother in another life, or your brother and your sister. All of your ancestral lineage will be playing different roles with you for many different simultaneous existences. This is how I discovered that we are inherently cycling through ancestral lineages, and how even contact contracts are passed down through our bloodline. Okay. So everything that we're experiencing in the physical and in the interdimensional is written within these agreements. And so right now you are accessing the database of your everyday life. It is created from the information here. Okay, so go ahead and allow yourself to, now that you've taken time to observe and look at the architecture of this home or whatever it looks like to you, notice the contracts, notice what they look like. Every single one of these contracts that you see in this room is an agreement that you have made with every single family member, every extended family member, every friend, every partner, relationship, every person that you have come into contact and exchanged with. There is an agreement, and those agreements are here in this room. All of the major, most impactful experiences in your life are here in this room. So what I invite you to do over the next month is to begin to look at these contracts. You're going to shine your crown light on top of the contracts, and you're going to begin to dissolve the ones that are no longer in alignment with you. Essentially, we want to empty this room completely. And I know by experience that this can be done. So just allow yourself to clear these contracts in the room completely, breathing deeply, shining your crown light on top of them, dissolving all of them at once. This is a quick way to do this meditation. You can take more time looking at every contract when you have more time, but I will teach you this to do as a daily exercise. Okay, so go ahead and clear out all the contracts in that room completely. And now that it's completely empty, I want you to take the color that's in your crown and you're going to fill that room with that color. Go ahead and saturate, almost as if you can imagine painting the walls. You can imagine turning on a light of that color in that room. You can imagine the entire structure turning into this color, whatever feels easy for you. What you're doing here is you are completely overriding this matrix system, the database for your projection. You're overriding it with your highest intention. This is the higher self. This is the self that knows that you are infinite potential, that you are source. So as you take that frequency and you put it in this room, you are shifting the kinds of experiences that you're going to have in your everyday life experiences. This means that you are moving outside of the law of accident. What is the law of accident? Suffering experiences that the human needs in order to wake up. Every time the human goes into a state of sleep, disconnected from their higher self, it designs, because it's a cyclical pattern, because the vibrational resonance is no longer a match for the natural evolutionary cycle of our existence. It creates scenarios to shake it up. It can be an accident, it can be an illness, it could be something that happened to you in your life that causes you fear, that will shock you into consciousness. And this is the law of accident. When we are not abiding by nature in alignment with our highest expression, we are in the cycle of karma, cause and effect, repeated patterns. Okay, there's always cause and effect. But again, you are either counter creating, which is still creation, or you are creating. And it's more productive for your soul, more vitality, more higher frequency and healing for you to co-create than counter create. Counter create, slower spin, stagnation, illness, death. Creation, higher spin, navigation, activation, and essentially it's the key to longevity. It is the key to living beyond the physical. Okay, so this is kind of the key to infinite existence, infinite potential. And so as you see this room and you begin to highlight it with your crown chakra, you begin to change the energetic frequency resonance that every cell of your body is resonating at this moment. This is really powerful. So as you begin to shift that frequency, you can begin to notice that the body will feel lighter. The moment you eliminate those contracts, many people inhale or exhale. Sometimes people will be sighing a lot. Even people will release. Sometimes they will burp. Okay, and I'm saying this after working with hundreds and thousands of people, that people react to this cleansing experience in different ways. So just look at how you react to it. Most of the time, you will feel lighter. Okay, so it's important to continue this work daily, because the moment you forget, all of those contracts come back into play, and it's a co-creation. And so you can have maybe 3 days of wonderful days, everything's going great when you're doing this practice. The day that you stop doing it, everything is going to come back. And so that day you might have a really bad day and you're going to be like, what happened? It's because you didn't run energy and because you didn't break these contracts. Okay, so this is a different way of existing. Once you're conscious, you can't go back to sleep. And this is another conversation that we'll have another time. But Go ahead and fill that room with your creative color and take a nice deep breath. And as you allow yourself to ground down to the center of the earth, I want you to fill your body with a feeling of love, unconditional love. Fill your body with a feeling of peace, of compassion. And I want you to be grateful to yourself for taking the time to do this work. Breathing deeply, loving the body, loving the self. Very good. Bringing the body into a state of bliss, into a state of love. Breathing deeply. Okay. Go ahead and begin to open your first chakra back into a balanced state. Your second chakra. Your third chakra. Bring your heart chakra back into a balanced state. Your throat chakra into a balanced state. Your third eye. Activating your crown. So right now you look like this. Before you were like this, now you look like this. You are in alignment. Go ahead and activate the seventh. Activate the eighth. Activate the ninth. Activate the 10th. Activate the 11th, the 12th, and the 13th. And above you is a powerful white light of source. Go ahead and connect up into that light. This is who you are. You are infinite consciousness, your unconditional love. Go ahead and bring that light into your body and anchor it into the center of the earth. Very good. Go ahead and open your eyes and bring yourself back into the room. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me today. It was such a pleasure to be here with you. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. We have tons of messages here, so I'm going to quickly pass by. Thank you so much for all your super chats, everyone. It was such a pleasure to be here, and I'm really happy to be back. It's been a very eventful couple of weeks, lots of really exciting things coming up that I'm going to be sharing with you very soon, that I've been working on. So I'm excited to share that with you soon. I want to invite you guys this Saturday. I'm going to be teaching a really powerful deep dive into DNA activation and interdimensional navigation. We're going to be talking about ETs, parasites, and free will, basically next step into the conversation that we had today. That's why I'm really happy that we did this video on the reincarnation cycle, because it's a perfect segue into the conversation on DNA activation. What is that? How do we access that? And how do we work with that? So you guys can register at the link that I'm going to put into the chat. If you guys have any questions about that, I would love for you to join me. It's on Portal to Ascension with wonderful Neil Gower and Joan of Angels will also be hosting. Okay, so go ahead and check that out. We're going to learn energetic hygiene. We're going to take a look at self-empowerment within all dimensional layers. We're going to be taking a look at what free will is and how to access that, how to work with that in order to change our everyday life. And we're going to be taking a look at the mechanics of fragmentation and also reintegration. How does that work? What does it mean to reintegrate? And we're going to look at entanglement. So we're going to go deeper into that. I'm glad we talked about that today. We're also going to be taking a look at the dimensions and higher octaves, how we manifest in those higher octaves and how we interact with them. We're going to take a look at hybrids, artificial intelligence and fragments, and holographic DNA. So I would really invite you guys to join me. That's going to be a really awesome program this Saturday. And also, I am going to be speaking at the Ultimate Star Beings Conference, which is this incredible 5-day conference. And I will be speaking on Monday, November 7th. And that's at 1:45 p.m. So please register for that. It's going to be amazing. There are like 54 people speaking at that conference. I mean, it's an incredible one. So I'll put the link for that below as well for you to check out. Um, yeah, let me go ahead and take that link. And I'm going to put it there for you as well. Okay, awesome. Angie, so good to see you. I'm so happy to see you, Chris Time. So wonderful to see you guys here. Let's see. Paradigm shift. Hello. I am powerful light of love. So good to see you, Jerry Barbarella. Hi from Northern California. So good to see you guys. Greg Herrera, extreme prolonged trauma can make you feel like you don't belong. Yes, that's right. Angie says hello. So good to see you. It puzzles me, fate. You're so amazing, Geraldine. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Pono, so good to see you. JK 80s horror fan. So many friends and family in the chat. It's so wonderful to see you guys, family from all around the world. Opiate addiction support. I want to go to Mars. Mhm. Christine says good because I don't want to do this again. Yes, we can end the suffering. And in part two, because there's going to be a part two to this, we're going to talk about procreation and hybridization. What's the difference? Because that plays a really huge role in our participation in the reincarnation cycle. And I'll talk about that in part two. Okay. I'm so grateful and thankful for all of existence. Much love and light to all. Thank you so much, Infinite Being, Monica, Mama Ren. Thank you so much for your super chat. You're amazing. And to everyone else that sent donations, we just got so much. I'm appreciative to you guys. I just want to see if we have any questions. If you have any questions, please put them in capital letters so that I can find them really easy. Thank you so much, Monique. I really appreciate that. She says, you have such an authentic elegance and delivery is always next level. Thank you for offering this wisdom and language is direct, clear, and profound. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So good to see you. All right. Questions? Anyone? Let me get to questions. So many amazing concepts. So many amazing comments. Let's see. And my life is awesome. It's so good to see you, Lightiel. I love you. Happy birthday to Lightiel. Thank you. Alan Centric. Hello, hello. Okay, am I seeing questions here? Hello, Geraldine. New subscriber, trying to understand the message despite the language barrier. Voice hypnotizes and calms me, and I get lost in it. Much love, gratitude. Thank you so much, Pedro. I really will be making some translations for these videos, so please hang in there. We're going to make translations. I have so many requests for that. You're the best. Thank you so much, Christine. All right, my love. So, what about a series on healing the physical body? Yes, we will definitely do that. Great, great idea. How can we activate the 9th, 10th, 13th chakra? Okay, so 9th up until the 10th chakra is mostly the morphogenetic field within the matrix. So the matrix, so the hologram, that means the DNA of the earth. Up until the 10th dimensional plane, you're still kind of only dealing with everything that is within the morphogenetic field of the earth. So that basically means that we need to transcend and reintegrate from this life traumas first and past life. So up until the 10th, it's this life and past lives, simultaneous lives, okay? 10th and up, you're beginning to look at interdimensional aspects, angelic aspects of yourself. And there's many layers to that information that you can work with. Actually, it's really, really powerful. How do we activate them? Is that first of all, you have to activate your chakras, as we did today in our meditation. But more powerful than that is working in the chakras, because the chakras are dimensional fields. They are your body. They are the fields that make up your reality. Okay, so ninth dimensional layer, go ahead, take a look at that. What is it doing? Do you have holes? Do you have openings? Do you have blocks in the ninth dimensional plane? Take a look at your body in the ninth. What do you have going on there? Clean daily. Repair the field. Repairing means that you are working on the entanglements that you have created in your body and healing them. So there will be a lot of great work opportunities for you to do there. Okay. And once you begin to repair the fields, you will begin to channel information from these dimensions. You will become aware of yourself, the many fractalizations of yourself that exist within that dimensional layer. And within those fractalizations are parts of you from simultaneous lives, past, future. So you can work on them in that ninth dimensional layer. Every dimensional layer is a different geometric expression, which means that you hold energy and information differently. You experience things differently in those dimensional layers. So you need to look at your blocks that inhibit your ability to navigate that structure of experience. Okay, and we can heal or reintegrate from there. As you activate more of yourself, you begin to become nothing and all at once, which allows you to navigate all dimensional layers. Okay, so that's a small answer. How to deal with the subconscious blockages we don't even feel, right? So I guess we would have to define, what does it mean to feel? Do you mean emotionally, that you're having a hard time emotionally? Because what are blockages? Blockages are subconscious belief systems, and the language to access subconscious belief systems is emotions. Okay, so if your emotions are out of balance all the time, or if you're too much in one emotion or too much in another emotion, um, it's hard for you to love, it's hard for you to feel anger. Those are indications that you have blockages, and those are your blind spots. Okay, so wherever you have a difficulty accessing the language of emotions would be the first place I would look. If it's hard for you to describe your emotions and to understand how you reached that emotion, you can uncover lots of blockages. So many of you that, we think we're done, we're never done. Every single day, we can create more karma for ourselves in a state of sleep. Every moment we fall asleep, we go back into creating karma, counter-creative repetitions. Every time we wake up, we are co-creating. So just take a look at your past week. How many times did you fall asleep? Go to those parts. Take a look at what you were doing there. What happened? Did you check out? Are you in your body? If you don't remember what you did in the past week, then you're definitely sleeping. If you don't remember the emotions that you had yesterday morning, you're sleeping. Because to be conscious means to be absolutely present, integrated, and congruent with your actions at all times. So that is your immediate segue into getting some healing opportunities and finding some answers there. If we have a hard time feeling emotions, as I was saying, it's because we're disconnected from the physical body. That means that we've had so much trauma, or that we were told that our emotions are not important. So they're over time created a barrier and a disconnect between the emotions, the nervous system, and the physical body. And that means that most of the time we're outside of the body, not in the body, which means we're not in the present moment and we're not conscious. So being fully in the body means experiencing everything, even the things that feel uncomfortable. And so we would have to be able to navigate those uncomfortable moments and heal. Essentially, when you're healed, you're never triggered by anything of the past. The old emotions that used to cause you emotional uh, reactions, they will no longer cause those emotional reactions. That's why the natural um, expression of the human is to come into neutrality. That's when the organism begins to work at its optimal state, when it's neutral. It's not always when it's in a state of super joy and happiness, because sometimes that can be a cover for parts of us that are in pain. Yeah, so true joy, true real joy doesn't look anything like what we think it looks like, actually. And sometimes people will feel awkward because you change your patterns of being, your personalities. Remember, you have personalities, and people are used to that. So when you begin to change parts of you, you will begin to notice what parts of your personality are no longer necessary, because you'll discover their reactions of protection. Okay, so we have to be able to be brave enough to be a completely different self every time as you are evolving through this process of healing. I hope that answers your question, Anders. Let me know if that doesn't answer your question. I am powerful light love. Let me look for your question, please. Unless you can repost it. I am powerful light and love. Input for me. Any input for me? Like lucid dreaming, like only half here. Oh, there are plenty of new sensational experiences to feel into the new energies coming. Yes, can you put your question on in the chat, love, please, so I can answer it? Is it possible to not have no past lives on Earth and only from a different star system or dimension? Could this be the first incarnation on Earth? So, um, this is an interesting question. No. And I'll tell you why. And there are some cases where potentially you more recently could have had many incarnations, conscious incarnations in another timeline. Remember, everything is simultaneous. What it means to remember past lives means to become conscious in those past lives while you're in this conscious state, in this life. That's what it means. So what that can mean is that you haven't looked at the other simultaneous aspects of yourself. So simply without thinking about past lives, I just want you to look at your life right now and observe the patterns that you still have a hard time breaking in this lifetime. And go back into the lineage. Look at the patterns in your lineage. If you can't see your patterns in your own life, which you should, because they're based on your emotions and how the state of your life is. If you have an incredibly successful life, what is success? Health, vitality, peace. That's success. Health, vitality, peace. If you don't have these three things in your life right now, then you need to take a look at what we're missing. Why? Because wherever you're not cultivating that in your life will give you the entryway into understanding the cyclical patterns that haven't been addressed yet. And they will help you become conscious of those lives. They could be the lives in these alternate dimensions that you're mentioning, or there can be other lives that you haven't mentioned. We need to address all lifetimes. And this can be done in this lifetime. It's not something that's overwhelming. It can be done very quickly because once you realize the patterns, you break them. So if all you can remember is interdimensional lives, go to the interdimensional lives and observe what's the pattern. Was there suffering? Was there joy? What was happening? What was the limitation? Okay, and start working from there. True joy feels like comfort in any situation and know it is okay. Like lucid dreaming, like only half there. I don't understand your question. I am powerful, light, love. SF, great to catch you live. Says, I'm from New York, but live in Singapore. Your 30-day program is transformational. Incredible. Thank you so much. You're such a gift. I'm so happy to hear that. That's amazing. I love Singapore, by the way. That's amazing. Lives can happen simultaneously. They do. They all exist simultaneously. So if I close my eyes or feel into my consciousness, it's like being in hypnosis and channeling another, whilst you sit over to the side or near the back of your head or behind or to the side of the body. Okay. So essentially, when you're in this, can you see my question above? Yes, I'm reading the question above. So if I close my eyes or feel into my consciousness, yes. So consciousness, we're not really feeling into the consciousness. Consciousness is what emerges. It's a product. Consciousness is a product of observation, of awareness. So first I'll say that. Um, but if you mean going into the subconscious, yes, it will feel like a hypnosis. Okay. Um, okay, hold on. Can you see my question? Geraldine, I have a question. I have recently been feeling a big distance between my body antenna and my consciousness, like a delay between the two. Is it a full body disconnect or new energetics? Okay, great question. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, we are leaving a very heavy, dense, cosmic, um, collective energy. Over the past 2-3 years, it's been really hard to connect with the higher self. Many people have had a hard time meditating, connecting to their intuition. It's been very dense. And that density is because the contrast shifted. The contrast is stronger because of we have shifted into another octave. So the octaves move in a braid. We went from one end to the next, to the beginning of this next cycle. We are beginning a new cycle right now. So when that happens, we reach incredibly dense points energetically, and more people have a hard time meditating, connecting. So we're leaving that. It's going to start to get better now. And we need to understand that even spiritual work happens in cycles. So don't get frustrated with yourself, because a lot of people feel guilt, shame when they're wanting to go back into the physical. And these last couple years was designed to go back into the physical and into the internal. Okay, to look at what's happening outside that's not working, and then address the internal part that is reflected from that external um, imbalance. Okay, so that's what these last couple of years. So I don't want you to become overwhelmed. It's getting better. So how do we resolve that? Daily meditation, running energy, clearing your chakras, clearing your energetic body, and sealing your energetic body. Make sure that your field is completely whole without openings. This will immediately help you take back from the densities that you're moving from. We should transcend astrological signs, influence, celestial influences. We have the ability of transcending all of those influences when you become a creator. Okay, so in other words, we never have to stay stuck in the ideas of helplessness or victimization or limitations as a cause of an external factor. Okay, that's very important. If you're feeling that you're outside of the body, we need to anchor into the body. Now, EMFs, deeply concerned with EMFs. Again, remember, this is a hologram. Every single day, the body is bombarded by millions of things, but we can transcend because this is a hologram. You can speak to your cells, you can speak to the telomeres of the body to begin to reconstruct, regenerate. You can grow gray matter in the brain. You can begin to shift how your body responds to your external environment. We are not a product of our environment. When you wake up and you're in the present moment, you begin to have mastery over your body. So this is very important to understand. Essentially, nothing external should affect this body. And this is what monks do. They, they go out into caves and they meditate for a long time until they cultivate enough life force where they become a very fast spinning vortex, the generator of life force. Again, we have to activate our DNA, our consciousness, and we have to begin to spin our vortex. When you spin fast, it doesn't matter what is influencing you around you. Okay, that's very important. All right, my love. So let's see, any other questions that I missed? Venusian, is your work of integration similar to soul retrieval and shamanic work? Yes. And there's so many different kinds of shamanic work that I wouldn't want to generalize, but I do know that some shamanic lineages do soul retrievals. Um, I don't like to call it retrievals as much as becoming aware of yourself in all dimensional layers. Because retrieval is confusing. We think that we're discarding something or letting go of something and bringing it back. But in fact, you're growing. Actually, you're growing. So when you integrate parts of you, you're actually waking those parts up. You're turning on the light of your aspect of yourself that's in that fractalization. This is how you become whole. Essentially, you ultimately become source because you become everything. And you're becoming everything in all dimensional layers. So that's really what that is. So it is kind of similar. I hope I answered your questions, guys. I'm fine and very comfortable and live nirvana daily in ecstasy. Awesome. All right, guys, I want to thank you so much. It's getting really late. This is a very long chat. Did I miss any questions? I hate to miss your questions. There's so many messages, but that Monique. Are ascension systems a real thing? And is it really or is it something else? So as I just mentioned, we should be able to transcend. Yes, there are ascension symptoms, but a lot of times that happens when there's disconnects with our physical body and we're not in the present. When we're in the past or the future, we are very easily picking up the influences of these external things. And we have the ability of transcending, become all and nothing at once, and nothing can affect you in any dimension, even if it's very parasitic or something very negative. Okay. I know you have mentioned this, but I'm always reluctant to shrink my first three chakras. Can you explain briefly the reason? Yes, because in the first three chakras, we're deeply entangled. Most of us are walking around with the first chakra wide open or completely out of balance, sometimes not even in the body because of trauma. And that is creating the filter of how you're seeing the world. So in the root chakra, the imbalanced state of that chakra is a constant state of fear and survival. If you look around you, most of us are in a constant state of fear and survival, which means most of us have our root chakra imbalanced. Therefore, our perception is imbalanced. So in order to begin to heal, help the body, because when we're not conscious, we are victimized by the unconscious cause and effects of our body and the imbalances of the body, because the body is a vessel. So we need to close. You're not turning it off. You're shrinking a spinning chakra, which may or may not be spinning depending on your traumas and how you cultivate that energy. Most of you, the front is spinning, but the back is completely blocked. Most of you have the back chakras blocked because you're completely unconscious. And the front is the feminine, the back is the masculine. Okay, so actually the front is the masculine, the back is the feminine. Okay, the subconscious mind. The back of your body is the subconscious mind. So those are the ones that are usually blocked. And that's actually the part that's actually informing your everyday experience. Everything in your back chakras is what's actually doing it. So if you are a person that suppresses their emotions, if you're a person that ignores your uncomfortable feelings and you just put it back there, you keep storing stuff without addressing it, your back chakras are stagnant, not moving, and building up, accumulating blockages. So your life force is not moving. Eventually, this turns into aches, pains, illnesses. Okay. So in this meditation, we shrink the chakras so that we can consciously look at the body, at all the connections that we've made unconsciously. It's easier to do that when it's closed, not super hyperactive. When when it's wide open, we're in fear, it's very hard to see truth. Your intuition becomes tainted by your emotion that are imbalanced. So you shrink that, you can begin to control and differentiate between unconscious repetitive patterns. So as you shrink it, you cut the cords, you clean up this entanglements that you've done. And as you run energy through the body, you can help clear it out. As you clean the blockages that we did in meditation today out of your body, you begin to clean and heal your body from illnesses. Okay. And at the end of the meditation, you open it back up and you spin it fast and clean it. You have to clear your chakras. You have to do hygiene. Just the way you brush your teeth, take a shower, you have to do the same with your energy centers. This is the most important. It's like the manual of your body. You have to learn how to use this instrument. Okay, so those chakras have to be cleared daily. Chakras are not just vortexes. They are the fields of your body. So you have to heal, clear, and repair the fields of your body that are an extension of these vortices. Okay, so that's really, really important. And as you shrink them, you can clear it easier. You have more ability to clean it out. As you train yourself more over time with this work, your chakras will naturally be moving in a beautiful, clean state, front and back are going to be open, balanced, fluid, and you're going to see changes in your life. Okay, so this is a quick answer for that. How to deal with subconscious blockages. I answered that already. Hello, how to tell if the chakras are activated? If okay, so how do you tell if they're activated? Most of us are barely operating from the first three chakras. Take a look at the quality of your life. If you're living in survival, if you are disconnected from your body, if you're disconnected from your emotions, your chakras are out of balance. If you cannot vocalize your needs, if you cannot vocalize your emotions, your chakras are out of balance. If you're not manifesting, they're out of balance. If you're unhealthy, out of balance. So take a look at the quality of your life. If there isn't vitality, harmony, and balance in your life, health, then chakras are out of balance. So work with the emotions. The emotions are the key to clearing and healing yourself. How can we activate that? Okay. Any idea on how to heal a tumor? Okay, so a tumor is whenever we have things like cancers, autoimmune diseases, tumors, it's the body eating itself. This is a result of ourselves rejecting the self in such a powerful way that we have manifested that into the physical form in which the body eats itself. It rejects your own existence, you reject yourself, your expressions, you judge this organism. And usually when it's a tumor or a disease like this is something that has been happening for a long, long time, many generations of your lineage. And what happens with the souls that are incarnating now is that everything accumulates. Every new generation, I'll talk about this in part 2, Every new generation is, when there's a lot of trauma in your ancestral lineage, it all accumulates. And the next generation that comes in comes equipped vibrationally and genetically to end those patterns, but also is born with a manifestation of the challenges that haven't been addressed previously. Okay, those are pretty big things, and we always have a choice of clearing it. The earlier in your life you become conscious and end those programs, the healthier you will be and the less you will be influenced by these. We are not married to our genes. We can always heal the body. You can always better the circumstance of your health. There's different, obviously, different cases. We would have to look at what's the reason, what's the block that we're holding on to. Okay. All right. So, okay, guys, it's getting very late. I'm gonna, any other questions, I'll answer them in our next video. Thank you so much for joining me. Love you guys so much. I love all your questions. I will answer your questions. Smart money guy, I'll answer your question in my next live. Love you. Have a wonderful night. Bye, guys.